right, episode 3 at long last. Before I jump in, if you haven't already seen it, I did do a video which I called episode 2.5, where I basically statted up and talked about how I created Borin as a player hero. Previously, he was a companion, so he had very limited stats, and I went through and basically did some of the character life path generation stuff to make him into a full-blown player hero. If you haven't watched the video and aren't really interested in watching that video, then the too long didn't watch version of it effectively is that I've statted him up as a slightly more capable player hero than Finnulf. This is to reflect the fact that Finnulf found him as an experienced mercenary, effectively the most experienced kind of companion that he could find as a warrior. So he's a cut above a sort of starting player hero, as I would see it, and really I just gave him a few more experience points at character creation, and I had his valor and wisdom starting off at 1 additional point, so he's got 2 for each, and the equivalent perks that go with that. So let's jump into it. We left off with Borin and Finnulf having arrived effectively 1 hex away from where this tower is. And I'm not going to do any more travel. The travel is basically sorted now, even though we're a hex away. That is basically just going to reflect me having Borin creeping up onto the tower to see if he can find this missing messenger. And in the process, he's leaving Finnulf behind. We've determined that they've found this secure set of ruins where Finnulf can kind of lay low. We've said that there's going to be a stream nearby, or I've said that there will be a stream nearby so that he can have water, maybe can catch some fish. The 2 horses, or the horse and the pony, can also have fresh water and grass nearby, grazing, etc. Grazing inside the ruin, so they don't, it's very difficult for them to be spotted unless someone goes kind of in the ruin, is how I've seen it. So I'm giving Finnulf the best possible chance of surviving a number of days on his own while he's very badly injured, without Borin there to save him. So Borin is going to be helping kind of get Finnulf sorted. I'm going to say that they do this overnight, and early in the morning at dawn, Borin is going to be creeping out of the ruin and trying relatively stealthily to make his way towards this tower. And the tower can be seen. These are in some hills. These are in some of the foothills of the Blue Mountains and the southern range of the Blue Mountains. And because there's a lot of ruins here, I'm effectively thinking of it as quite a broken landscape. There are lots of kind of cliffs and jagged countryside, basically, jagged rocks, that sort of thing. So it's quite easy, I think, to creep along and kind of make your way relatively stealthily if you want to. It's also dawn, so I'm saying I wanted it to be dawn so that, or maybe even pre-dawn potentially, so that he's got, or I should switch into first person maybe, so that I've got the best possible chance of creeping up onto the tower without being spotted. So there's going to be lots of shadows. The light's not going to be very good for scouting, that sort of thing, unless you're potentially like an elf or maybe a dwarf, who are maybe a bit more used to seeing in the dark. But all reports were that a band of human bandits had captured this mercenary. So I guess the first way to do this is to make a single stealth roll to see how well I'm creeping along, and I might use the results of that to determine, if I'm going to be doing like a scan roll, or an awareness roll, I should say, or something along those lines from any potential scouts that that anyone else who might want to try and find Borin might have. So heading into Foundry here, let's pull up Borin's stats. And stealth, his wits stat isn't very bad. It's 13 is the target number. but he's only got 1 point in stealth. Now, I guess the question is, do I have anything that I can use to give myself some inspiration on this? And I guess secretive isn't really the same thing. It's about hiding my intentions rather than being stealthy. So he's secretive and willful. Balin's counsel has to do with fighting, and Strider's only when you're traveling. And there's an argument to me that this is a kind of still in the traveling phase, but I've said that the traveling is done now, and that would be gaming the system a bit too much, I think. So I will probably roll with spend a hope point on this, but I'm not going to be able to make it inspired. And because of the light, I think I'm going to make this also... I'm going to give myself a bonus die, which is effectively making it inspired. But I'm sneaking around when the light is not very good, and yeah, I'm kind of thinking that this is probably fairly realistic. I'm spending the point of hope. I get a bonus because the light's not very good, and the landscape is also helping me out. So there could be an argument that I could give myself 2, one for the light, one for there being plenty of hiding spaces. But again, I don't want to kind of make it too easy on myself. Failure is always interesting. Yeah, so we're gonna roll it like this. Let's make the roll. Well, that's not good. And just to see what I rolled here, it's a failure. Okay. So my stealth roll has not gone as planned. That's basically he's stumbling around in the ruins. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this is meant to be rolled, whether it's meant to be an opposed roll with awareness or not, but in the skills section of the rules, it does say that a failure on a stealth roll means that you've been detected. So it kind of seems to me like awareness and stealth are only meant to be player-facing roles. They're not meant to be used opposed with opponents. So we're going to treat it like that. And that means basically he's making a lot of noise. The light isn't very good. Exactly the things that he was hoping that would help him out are kind of going against him. So rather than being super stealthy and sneaking along and using the terrain to his advantage, the terrain is kind of betraying him a little bit. There's lots of loose rubble that's kind of like making noise. He's tripping up a bit, that sort of thing. And we're gonna say that's what happens as he spends the sort of the dawn hour or so making his way across the landscape towards the tower. Now, I've done a little bit of setup for this. This is the adventure site from the back of the core rulebook. And as such, I have put a lot of this into Foundry, and I've tried to do it in a way so that it is... So I've tried not to spoil things too much for myself. I did a lot of copying and pasting and just sticking stuff in without really reading it. But it is inevitable that I have kind of found out a little bit about how the adventure site works. But I haven't read it all in detail, so there should still be some surprises in store for me. And I think this is kind of impossible to do if you're taking it like a published adventure site, trying to roll it solo. If it's not been written, which almost none of them are, for solo play, then you kind of have to dissect it and you kind of have to read how it works, either as you go, or if you're prepping for it, like I'm doing here in Foundry, then you kind of find out a little bit about how the adventure site works in the process. But I am happy to have done that. I'm happy to play it knowing a few things about it, and I'll still be able to surprise myself, I'm sure. So, what I'm going to do over in Foundry is I'm going to open up this Bandit Cave scene that I've prepared. And as you can see up here, I have this little token. It's actually a journal entry called the Star of the Mist. And if I double click on that, it brings up this journal entry. And effectively what I've done here, this is my kind of solo cheat sheet, if you will, for how this adventure runs. And it's full of links. Where did it go? There we go. It's full of links to other journal entries where I've basically copied and pasted a lot of things. So as you can see here, we've got the site introduction, approaching the site, locations in the site, schemes in trouble. So if I want to expand it, some information about the brigands, Sabian, treacherous dwarves, etc. So there's basically everything from that core rulebook I've put in here. And yeah, we'll just kind of see how it goes. These are also linked within the individual journal entries themselves. So I've not obtained any rumors about the site. Well, if I click on it, no, I haven't learned any rumors about it. So I think the only thing to do here, I haven't done any research on either. So the site introduction, I'm basically leaving this well alone. All I know is that there's this ruined tower. We know that there was a blue light that could be seen at the top of it, which probably I would have seen last night, I guess. But other than that, we haven't really done any searching for rumors or anything. All that we know is that some bandits have captured a messenger, and their trail has led us this direction. So as the site is being approached, let's open journey events. So I'm going to open this up. Once the company gets to Sarn Ford at sunset, they spot a faint luminescence to the west. Okay, we've done that. Find traces of the presence of a large band of brigands operating in the area. We kind of found some of that as well. Remnants of their camps. May even hear stories about them told. Okay, we haven't encountered any wanderers or anything. So we can say that we've seen some some camps as we've been approaching. That's fine. If the player heroes are not careful, the brigands may notice the company and send a group of fighters to ambush them when they camp. Okay, the camp is already sorted. I've kind of done that narratively without doing too much. If the players are careful enough, for example, by following their tracks and staying one step ahead of them, they may be able to avoid them and reach their encampment without having to face them before that. Okay. I think the way I'm going to handle this is not to have been well, I'm making a lot of noise, so let's say I'm being ambushed by them. I think that's the way to play this, right? I'm making a lot of noise as I'm going. They have maybe some scouts here or there, and that's what's going to happen. So I click on that link. The brigands. The band of brigands sheltering the west of Sarn Ford is a large company of ruthless men. Driven by necessity and greed, they waylay those few travelers they meet on the road and plunder the many ruins dotted the land, looking for treasure. They are careful to hide any proof of their misdeeds to avoid raising the attention of the rangers of the north. So far, their strategy is working. If the company is not careful, and the lore master deems it appropriate for the brigands to notice them, a group of bandits composed of one highway robber for each player hero, plus 2 or 3 footpads, tries to ambush them. Okay, right. So I'm going to make this easy on myself and my solo player. We're going to have 1 highway robber and 2 footpads. All right. So as this is before I get to the tower, as I'm making my way towards the tower, they've set an ambush for me. I'm going to be making an awareness roll. We're going to go straight into combat here. And let's do this ambush. So to do this, I'm actually going to use... I want to save this. This is actually at their camp, which is at the base of the tower or near the tower. But what I will probably do, just so I can have this thing kept there, is use the corner of it for tokens and things, because I need the tokens for rolling in Foundry. So let's open this up. Star of the Mist. I've got myself. I'm in this, of course, and I'm going to instantly add myself to the combat tracker. We're going to pull in 1 highway robber. And 2 brigands. The brigands are footpads, I think. Let's just have a look at their stats very quickly. Attribute level 4 and attribute level 2, I think, on these. Yeah, okay. So that's the right way to do this. Okay, so these guys are all in here. Okay, and to see how they're armed, let's go open their actor sheets here. The highway robber has a bow and a spear. And the brigands have bows and cudgels. So I think it's probably worth saying that I'm on my own. So it's probably worth... They would probably do it so that they have 2 bowmen, 1 on either side, and they will attack me from behind with 1 melee character. That's probably the way they would try and handle this. Or they would try and just all shoot me. That's probably the safer option, is just to hide in the ruins, and as I'm going past, just try and shoot me all from range. So, This is how the ambush is going to go. They're attacking me from range. They're all kind of split up. I'm gonna make them all split up to make this kind of a proper challenge here. See how well Borin does. And they're going to be there. Let's say that there's a place where there's kind of a narrow way through some ruins, and it's maybe hard to see. There's plenty of places for them to hide, and like in some ruins kind of around where they are. And it's very cramped quarters. I'm saying it's cramped quarters because if I open up my character sheet again, I'm giving myself a slight advantage, which is this Durin's Way, my virtue. And I've been taught how to best defend yourself while fighting underground. As a result, you know how to exploit corners, darkness, and other natural obstacles to your advantage. Add +2 to your parry rating while fighting underground or in otherwise cramped quarters like inside a building. So I think I'm going to go with this. There's a lot of obstacles in the way, lots of corners I can take advantage, that sort of thing. So it's giving them kind of the perfect site for an ambush, but it's also giving me a bit of an advantage here to my defense, which I'm gonna need because this is 3 against 1. Okay, so the way this works is I roll first to see if I'm ambushed or not. So I need to make an awareness roll, and I've got 3 points in awareness. My target number is 11. This is one of I'm very strong. I've got a 7 in my stat is 7, which makes my target number 11, and I've got 3 points in awareness. I'm quite good at surviving ambushes, basically. I should be anyway. I'm not going to spend a point of hope. I'm not going to be giving myself a penalty or anything like this. I'm just going to make a straight up roll here and see how this goes. Okay, it went very well, and in fact I've got a Tenwar rune on that as well. So that's really good. It's a great success. And so with that Tenwar rune, that great success, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend that to build advantage. That's one of the options where I can carry forward my success to improve my position on a related task. And I can gain 1 dice on my next skill roll, which is going to be my next attack roll. So not only have I been aware of this, I'm using it to my advantage. So they don't get to make a free attack on me. We're going to do the opening volley round. I'm gonna make they're gonna have to beat my parry, which I'm gonna use my extra 2d on to try and resist, and then I'm gonna get 1 skill point as I basically rush in. So that's how the surprise attack works. I succeeded in my awareness roll. They haven't caught me off guard, and we're gonna jump then into the opening volley. And we're only gonna do 1 opening volley. This is them as they're shooting, as they're kind of coming up to shoot at me. I'm kind of maybe expecting to be attacked here, but basically it's just a normal ranged attack. I have a shield. No, I don't have a shield. If I had a shield, then I would get a higher parry rating, or my parry rating would be higher for a volley. Yeah, if I'm aware of it as well. So I don't have an opening volley to do because I don't have a ranged weapon, so we're just gonna have each of them make an attack with their bows. So we're gonna click here on opening volley. We're gonna start with, I guess, this highway robber here. So we select me as a target, and we're gonna have this guy make an attack with his bow. Now the target number is 15 because that's my parry, but I'm actually going to make it 2 higher, 17. Because if you remember, my parry rating goes up by 2 when I'm in a cramped position. So it goes from 15 to going up to 2 to 17. So they've got to beat a 17 to beat me. I'm going to make that roll. It's not enough. So the first highway robber, we're going to go with there. I've not gone. He's gone. Right, now we're going to go with this guy here, the Brigand 2. He's going to attack with his bow. He's also got a target number of 17. And he's also failed. And Brigand 1 is rolling with his bow. And he's got... Oh, I did target number 15, but it should be 17. It doesn't matter. He's failed anyway. So as you can see here, we've had target numbers of 17, 17, and 15, but it should have been 17 in the last one. And they've all resulted in a failure. So they've all shot at me, and they've all failed. That's the opening volley finished. Now we're moving into basically the normal combat. And for that, I'm going to... we're going to be moving into round 1. I'm going to be changing my stance to a forward stance. And I'm basically rushing in, and I'm going to rush in towards this Brigand 2, who we're going to say is kind of the closest to me. So I'm going to move in, rush in. I'm going to engage with this guy here, and I'm going to attack him. So we make him the target, and I'm going to attack him. And for this, I'm not going to spend any inspiration. I'm not going to be using Balin's Counsel here to make my roll favored. I'm rushing in with my axe, and I'm going to be basically trying to kill this guy. And I want this to be over as quickly as possible. But before I roll, what I want to look at is what the forward stance means. Forward stance means that I gain 1 dice to my attack rolls, but any close combat attacks made against me are also going to gain 1 dice as well. So this is really to try and get me as much advantage as I can to try and beat this guy. I have a target number of 11. I've got three success dice to roll plus 1 extra, so I'm hopefully going to be able to beat 11 with this. And I do, but you know, by the skin of my teeth, 13 is not a very high roll, and I do get a great success on that. I'm gonna spend that Tengwar rune to do a heavy blow with my axe, which is going to grant extra damage equal to my strength rating. So it's pretty much this guy's dead, right? I've attacked. Their armor comes into play only for piercing blows, which this hasn't done. I'm reducing their endurance by a certain number. His endurance is 8. My axe does 7, I believe. My great axe does 7 damage, and I'm using the heavy blow to add another 7. So I've done 14 damage to this guy. I've basically killed him. So he's down. I think we do it like that. Status effect. Dead. Okay, he's dead. Right. I'm the target now for the other two. Brigand 1 is going to try and shoot me again. So, Brigand 2 is dead. Let's do that. Oh, we do it like that. Okay. In fact, we'll go with how it is here. Highway Robber's the next one to attack. So we'll have him shoot with his bow. Target number 17. And they've succeeded with a Tengwar rune. They're going to do a heavy blow and add 4 damage. So I double click on that, I believe. Hold on. Nope, I got to do submit. Okay. So unfortunately, they've managed to get a really good shot in. They do 7 damage. A piercing blow. Oh, they rolled a 10. Unfortunately, it's also a piercing blow. So let's see if my endurance has gone down automatically. It hasn't. So I'm going to just keep an eye on that. But first, I'm going to be rolling my my armor, just checking that this is correct. So I get to use both of these, my helm and my mail shirt, against this. And as you can see here, I'm rolling 4 dice. And that's because I've got a protection level of 3 for my mail shirt and protection level 1 for my helm. I'm going to spend a point of hope on this because I really don't want to be wounded straight away right at the beginning here. Yeah. Let's see what happens. An Eye of Sauron. I'm wounded. I've taken a wound. Oh my god. This is not good. So if you can see my protection roll here, I needed to beat a 14, which is the injury rating of the weapon, the bow that's being used. It's not a very particularly high number by any means, but I rolled 11 altogether, and that's because even though I was rolling 5 dice here, 4 plus the 1 hope, 1 hope, I got the Eye of Sauron. The Eye of Sauron, of course, means that this counts as 0, but the 11 still count. I mean, this is really bad. This is really bad. This is not going well for me at all. So I'm going to make an injury roll. It was going so well. It was going so well. Another Eye of Sauron. Just before I forget, there's 2 Eyes of Sauron. Oh my god, this is terrible. 2 Eyes of Sauron means that this goes up another 2, my Eye Awareness score, because every time an Eye of Sauron is rolled, the Eye Awareness goes up. So Borin manages to rush and kill one of the brigands, and the highway robber on his next attack just takes Borin down with a well-timed bow. A grievous injury. I'm unconscious and dying. Now, this is interesting. I'm gonna say that I'm not gonna consult one of the oracles. I'm gonna kind of go with my gut here and say that they're kind of surprised to see a dwarf here, kind of out in the countryside near their bandit camp. And they're surprised to see him creeping towards the tower, which is where we know that they have a camp. So they stabilize his wounds. They tie him up, the 2 remaining brigands here, and they carry him back to their camp. Yeah. Okay. I guess now there's a few things I could do here. This is really putting me through my paces. By the way, Borin is a very, very capable fighter, but he's on his own against three opponents, and he got 2 Eye of Saurons in a row on rolls that it's just the luck of the dice. This sort of thing happens in role-playing games. But we're gonna make a really interesting narrative out of this. So Borin is taken back alive to the bandit camp, where he's going to be questioned about what he's doing here. Why is he creeping towards the camp? How does he know about them? That sort of thing. They're probably going to be a bit mean in how they're questioning him, so he's probably going to be tortured to an extent. That's all going to happen off camera, because I want to keep this campaign, PG. Excuse me. So he's gonna be interrogated by the bandits, and he's he's tough. He's tough, but I don't know how far they're gonna go. They might kill him in the end. So I guess we're gonna go back to Finnulf. I'm racking my brain to try and think about what this means for Finnulf and how he's going to. I don't want to make this too meta, but at the same time, it's a game and I'm playing it on my own, and this isn't like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. This isn't super grim necessarily. I kind of want Borin to stay alive, mainly because I've spent a lot of time preparing him as a character. I think he's really badass. I think he's really cool. And I don't want him to be taken out like this in the first combat he comes against. I mean, this has been terrible, really. Finnulf hasn't even had a chance to fight anyone, and he's been taken down, by his travel roll. And Borin goes down in his first combat. So in like round 2, in round 1, in fact, he did his turn, killed somebody, and then in the second turn in the first round he goes down. So really bad luck for these two. And I'm just thinking that maybe Finnulf waits a couple of, like, a day or two, and then he gets like a bad feeling potentially, or maybe something else happens. Maybe the water spirit that he saw at Sarn Ford comes to him at the stream and gives him a warning that his friend is in dire need. And yeah, we'll go with that. We'll do that kind of shortly after something happens to Borin. Finolf sees this creature, this what appears to be a woman, come out of this, like, come along the stream. Maybe she's walking along the stream. Her feet are maybe in the stream, and when he sees her, she simply says, "Tarry not, your friend is in dire need." And then she turns around and starts to walk away, and again slowly vanishes. So Finolf is kind of being given some supernatural assistance in a way. This isn't Deus Ex Machina, where, you know, someone's coming out of the blue. You know, we don't have Gandalf flying in and rescuing Borden or anyone. But I'm giving Finolf a little bit of an opportunity here to maybe be the hero of his story. So I'm going to try and figure out what that means exactly for the next episode, I think. I might stop this one here, make it a bit of a short episode. Figure out what that means for Finolf. Figure out how I want to handle his injury, his wound, because he needs time to recover for this. He's definitely going to still be in a wounded state. And effectively, he could die if he gets a single wound going in. So he's going to have to be really stealthy. Yet he's also wounded, which is going to really make a dire impact on his rolling. So he's going to kind of need every advantage at his disposal. His endurance is also... God, I mean, he's in a terrible state here. He's in a really, really terrible state. But he's also feeling responsible for Borin, because Borin wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And, you know, even though the odds might be against him, he's a young chap. He's, you know, he's a bit reckless. He's thinking he can save the day, that he needs to save the day. And he knows that he doesn't have much time, because that's what the water spirit has just told him. It's going to take him days to get back to the Shire, where he could potentially find someone. He doesn't have any time to waste. He has to see if he can try and rescue his friend. So that's what we're going to try and do. So I'm going to have a little think about exactly what that means. I'm going to go over the rules again for how wounds work. Well, I'm pretty sure I know that already. But just to make sure I'm not giving myself unnecessary advantages, I'm going to be checking out his endurance situation. I'm going to be checking out his hope situation, and just see how well or badly he's going to actually be doing in his rescue attempt, or like how the odds are stacked against him. And in fact, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that now and just see if he can get to the bandit camp, if he can sneak up to the bandit camp. Yeah, so I'm just reading this, and because of the type of injury that Finolf had, a grievous injury. In fact, this goes for both Finolf and Borin. By getting a grievous injury, they are knocked unconscious with 0 endurance. So they're both at 0 endurance. I should probably put that in. Finolf has 1 endurance, which is already on his character sheet. He is at load 18, so not only is he wounded, but he is also going to be weary. God. And the weary is because of his load. He could leave some stuff behind, but he's probably not going to. The load is determined by his sword, his mail shirt, and his shield. And there's no way he's going to be going in without his mail shirt, I don't think. I mean, it doesn't make much of a difference anyway. So maybe we can say because he's waited a day that maybe his endurance has gone up a little bit, but there's no way it's going to get up to anything near 18, because he's only going to be, while wounded, endurance is recovered at a very slow rate. It's recovered at, I believe, at 1 endurance per day, rather than at like their strength stats. I'm just going to check that very quickly. It's on page 71 of the core rulebook. So no, that's actually, I got that wrong. With a prolonged rest, which is a single prolonged rest per day, so we can say that's what happened at the beginning, where they were taking a quick rest. If you're not wounded, you recover all of your endurance points, or if you're wounded, you recover a number equal to your wounded equal to your strength score. So his strength score is 5, so he's going to actually have 6 endurance in total. Now we can look at here. If I say that he's going to drop his mail shirt, his load goes down to 9. That's because he's got fatigue, so it's 6 plus 3. So it doesn't really matter. There's no way he's going to be... Okay, so there's no way he's not going to be fatigued. He still has the 6 endurance. His load is at 18, so he's weary, right? There's no way around that. And I mean, I guess we can try this. We can try the stealth roll. He's got a 3 in stealth, and it's a favored roll, so there is a fairly good chance that he's going to be able to do this. But really, in everything else that he's going to be trying, in his sword fighting, anything else, the odds are really stacked against him. He's really going to have to be able to ambush people really well. And yeah, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to stack things in his favor. I'm going to give him an additional... So let's do this. For his stealth roll, he's going kind of following the route that Boren took. He's experienced with stealth, so we already know that he's already getting like, you know, 2. It's a favored roll. He's getting 2 feat dice to roll. However, one thing to pull out of this is that he also has the burglary distinctive feature. It's shadowy ways of getting possessions or accessing protected areas. So because he's got burglary as a distinctive feature, I'm going to spend hope to make this inspired. And we're also going to do the same thing here. We're going to give him 1 penalty bonus die. 1 bonus die because the terrain is easy for sneaking in. So he's going to be rolling 6 success die, and it's going to be favored. So really, things are really going in his favor here. And this is the roll I'm just going to be making. We're going to end the episode at the end of this to see how well Finnulf does when he's creeping up on the camp where Boren has been taken. And we'll say, actually, he's doing this at dusk. So he's waited through the day. He's had time to recover. If he's waited for the... Okay, so they arrived... We can say that they spent a day to rest. They spent another day of recovering, let's say, before he's going... And then he's waiting for dusk to go after Boren. So I'm actually going to bump his... I'm going to bump his endurance up another 5 points just to make him a little bit more survivable because he's had 2 days to rest. All right. That does mean Boren has been in possession of the brigands for an entire day, though, as well. So there is a chance that they, the interrogation... Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think he hasn't died yet, but we'll see how well he's held out. So let's make this roll. Gandalf rune. Look at that. And you can see here that 1, 2s, and 3s are white. That's because I'm weary. And when you're weary, the 1, 2, and 3 on your success dice don't count. So I got a great success, which is good because I rolled a Tengwar rune as well. So I think we'll figure out what that means. But really, I did very well here. Even though I'm wounded, even though I'm weary, I'm able to creep up onto the bandit camp where I've been told Boren is in dire straits and is in need of my help. So before I forget, I'm going to quickly bump his endurance up by another 5. So he's at 11 now. It's still not great. I'm still not going to reduce my load. He's still, wearing his mail shirt because he's going to need that if he gets attacked. He's still got a shield. He's still got his sword. And we'll see whether I can roll better with him. And hopefully he's not going to get another piercing blow and die on me. So, yeah, that was episode 3. I was planning on recording 2 episodes at once today. And as Boren was going to be making his way through the tower, through this adventure site. But alas, it has not worked that way. And yeah, Boren has been captured. Finnulf is coming to his rescue, even though he's in a pretty pitiable state. And we'll see what happens in episode 4. So please let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because it really helps it to grow. And if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button as well. Thanks very much and catch you next time.